Welcome to Bike World, welcome to Portimão. This is the 2025 Triumph Speed Triple 1200 RS. It's big, it's bold and it's boisterous. But how does it handle? Let's find out. Welcome to Portimão, welcome to Bike World. This is my very first ride on the new Triumph Speed Triple 1200 RS. There's a little bit of wet on my visor and I'm about to do some sighting laps. I've just launched it out the pit lane and, well, hello. Okay, I'm just on my first few laps around Portimão and started to get a feel around the circuit. Right, I've got 180.5 brake horsepower under the throttle and I've got 128 Newton meters of torque at just shy of 9 grand, and then I got max power at just shy of 11 grand, just right on that red line. Just getting a feel for the circuit. I just wanted to give you my first initial thoughts on riding this new 1200. So when I first rode out of the pit lane, I immediately felt pretty high up actually. So the handlebars are slightly wider and higher than the previous model. And I felt quite upright, you know, like, and the seat height is 830 mil and I've got a 32-inch inside leg. I felt comfortable on it, even though I was instantly in track setting. But the first thing that took me away was the throttle response. Just the way it's incredibly smooth. But then the power, it's just this huge draw. When you do the final right-hander, you can really like stretch its legs, and I think that's why they picked this circuit, because you can barely hold on at that point. No idea what the speedo was doing. I was too busy like under the lights when I should be braking. So that's the first few laps. I'll see how I get on for the rest of the day. Second session, and as you can tell, it started raining. And it's the proper rain, not like just the visor rain where you can get over it. So I'm going to bring this bike back home. The Pirelli Supercorsa, Pirelli Diablo Supercorsa V3, SP V3s are incredible, but I'm not going to take the mickey in these conditions. So I'm in Portimão, excuse the voice, I'm in Portimão for 2 days. We've got a day on the track and a day on the road. So it took a few laps. Now Portimão I'm a bit new to, so I had to kind of use my first few laps to figure out where I was going. And then eventually you realise you can use the length of the seat to kind of get your arse back and get your body forward and get your chin and face over those bars. And then that takes you to what I immediately felt on the right was the throttle response. Now it's 182 PS, 180.5 brake horsepower, and it's so well modulated, like almost to the point of too damn good. What Triumph have done with this engine, it's just got incredibly refined, and you do get, I think you just get power everywhere you want it. And that's how it felt on the track when I started to kind of settle in and feel my apexes and kind of connect the circuit together. It has Brembo's Dilemma calipers on the front and then an MCS lever system up top. And again, I was 2-finger braking, which is again new to me. So there's so much power in just 2 fingers and being able to modulate that. Although the sessions have been very wet today with some drying periods, I've almost connected the circuit together by being incredibly smooth. And that's what the bike has given me in terms of the electronics package and the traction control available. I wasn't hammering it because it's not a perfectly dry day and you can't take too many risks, but I just connected the whole of the circuit together very smooth and effortlessly. So that is the end of day 1. So I've done as much as I can on the track, leading me on to day 2 where we're going to ride it on the road. So not quite so much top speed, but let's go and really see how it feels on some Portuguese back roads.
Just for a few tech specs, sat on a 1160cc engine that is boasting 180.5 brake horsepower, and that's about 10,750 RPM. As you can see, that is just creeping its way into that perfect little rev limiter there. And then torque wise, 128 newton meters of torque at 8,750 RPM. So like any Triumph, it's a classic triple. So I've got a big old inline 3-cylinder engine that I'm sat across, and then all the classic Triumph ergonomics, like switch gear along here, pretty self-explanatory, including that kind of multi 5-way joystick they have down the bottom here, and obviously a lovely TFT screen. That's a 5-inch TFT screen with all the range and access to a really sexy part of this bike, which is the Öhlins EC3 suspension system. So this is a semi-active suspension solution. I'm currently in like road mode for the throttle response and road mode for comfort, but it has stall valve technology, which is nothing new, but it's 7 times as effective in terms of all the variation in damping and rebound and compression. So it just gives you a much more instantaneous and range of feel than just the standard like needle valve that you click in and click out of. So that EC3 kit, which I've seen on the track and now feeling on the road, just with a few presses of a button you can have a totally different setup for your bike. Very, very plush. So what does this 1200 feel like to ride? What's 2025 done for the upgraded model, and what's worth that extra price tag? Well, firstly, it's got to be the electronics package for me. I'm in slightly bitter wet riding conditions. I'm in road mode and road traction control, and I have the smoothest throttle response I've ever enjoyed on a motorbike for a long time. Incredibly sensitive, but not too abrupt. It's just neat. I'm sat in 5th gear, which is quite a lot. So what I'm going to do is L it into 3rd, and I can roll on and roll off the throttle really, really nicely. There's a few maps available. I have 5 of them in total. So we have road and wet. We also have track and sport, and then we have like a customizable rider option. So you've got plenty of versatility. And then with the Öhlins EC3 kit, it takes away all the kind of mechanical knowledge you might need to understand compression and rebound and damping, and it lets you adjust your preferred feeling, so you can get kind of brake support, acceleration support, initial acceleration support, mid-corner support. So it's everything you can think of really to absolutely customize, adjust it to you basically.
So how much do you have to pay for all this new tech? The Triumph Speed Triple RS will set you back £17,495.
Some of us have gone full high vis, safety first, and the onesie. I am happily enjoying the heated grips on this. Other nice little accessories include cruise control, so you know, makes it a commuter just as much as it is a sporty street bike. Just in case you were wondering what a triple sounds like in a tunnel, here we go. Right, we are back to Portimão circuit, and I think we might be getting a little treat on these, a little bit of wheelie practice back on the track. So basically this turns you into a absolute wheelie ninja. Thank you electronics, I've learned so much.
We all need insurance for our bikes, and B-Moto are just one of the companies that support Bike World. Their approach to insurance is to tailor policies to you as an individual, which means they can cover not just your bike, but your van. They can do travel cover, and they can tweak the policy to cover what means most to you. They have a load of optional extras, and best of all, when you call them, they know what bikes you're talking about. They do multi-bike accounts, and one thing that works for us is no mid-term adjustment fees. We need that. 98% of their customers recommend them, and we've been using them well before they sponsored Bike World. Check out Bimoto on the link below, and please support the companies that support us. I've had 2 days to have a good go exploring what this bike can offer. And the weather on those 2 days has been a bit inclement. There's been a fair bit of wet and rain across both the track and road conditions. You're paying for a package of the refined engine, so there's more power in this one than the last. And not too much more, but it's a free-flowing exhaust. A lot of acuity spent on having that smooth throttle pull. But the sunshine bits come out of the very best that Öhlins have to offer. So the EC3 suspension system with this funky spool valve gives you this great versatility in all the rider settings and much more flexibility to customize it to the road and to the track. The other bits that justify the price are the kind of the posh bits you're buying into. This is an RS model, so you do get the very best of Öhlins, but the Brembo Stylemas, I've never spent so much time being totally comfortable with just 2-finger braking, so on the MCS lever adjusted to the span I like, and then having that 2-finger feel, especially in the wet weather conditions. I've been able to be so gentle with my braking inputs and focus on being really smooth. I've had the luxury of riding the street triple, and where I felt I could manage that bike a lot more because it's just fundamentally smaller and lighter and I can wrap myself around it. The difference on this is that obviously I've got more power, a more refined throttle control because you need to manage that power. But it's almost like you can pendulum around on this bike. The weight doesn't become too cumbersome. I could flow and sit over the top of it. And once you kind of get used to the riding position, you can dominate this bike and it kind of comes with you. Plus the electronics package makes it just so much safer. I got the opportunity to test out a little bit. Turn 4 around here is a little bit exciting. And it just tips in and goes, oh, hang on, you don't want that much slide. Crack on and you're safe to ride another day. It's important to reflect on the fact that this speed triple celebrates and is a pinnacle of 3 decades of development from the original Hooligan in like 1994 to the present day. Now the original Hooligan probably, although I didn't have the privilege of riding it, was I guess it'd be quite a raw machine. It looked pretty raw and it looked pretty aggressive, and it's called Hooligan. That doesn't generally inspire simplicity and smoothness. But what you get now is the Hooligan factor with what Triumph like to call their front wheel lift control, I believe. And you have 4 settings.
3. No, 4. 4? Just, yeah.
And what that means is once you're in that setting, you choose 4, for example, take it up in first gear to about 8 or 9 grand and just whack the throttle open. It brings the front up nice and smoothly. Once you trust the electronics to do it for you, it will bring you up in a nice high progressive wheelie and you become a wheelie hero. For the length of a pit lane is absolutely brilliant. Obviously not recommended for doing on the road. Excellent. Although it's been a bit of a wild, wet and windy experience here in Portimão, the opportunity to ride the highest horsepower Triumph have to offer, and yes, it does have more horsepower than the Rocket by about 1, but they've made it in such a way that it's handleable, it's got very sophisticated suspension, and you can throw it around as much as you want with a really impressive safety blanket. So out of all the 11 different competitors in this super naked street fighter range, it is the only triple. And for that reason, it offers you only what a triple can do. Mid-range, high-end, low smoothness and glorious triple roaring power. So if you love Triumph, you love their aesthetic, it's well worth a ride.
Just coming back in off a wet session, that is the most fun I've ever had in the wet on a bike. 100%. It is awesome. Absolutely awesome.